It was a grand race. The whole post was there, and there was such another whooping and shouting when the 17 kids came flying down the turf and sailing over the hurdles. Oh, beautiful to see. Halfway down, it was kind of neck and neck, and anybody's race and nobody's. Then what should happen but a cow steps out and puts her head down to munch grass, with her broadside to the battalion, and they are coming like the wind. They split apart to flank her, but why, she drove the spurs home and soared over that cow like a bird. And on she went, and cleared the last hurdle solitary and alone, the army letting loose the grand yell, and she skipped from the horse the same as if he had been standing still, and made her bow, and everybody crowded around to congratulate, and they gave her the bugle, and she put it to her lips and blew boots and saddles to see how it would go, and BB was as proud as you can't think, and he said, "Take soldier boy, and don't pass him back till I ask for him." And I can tell you he wouldn't have said that to any other person on this planet. That was 2 months and more ago, and nobody has been on my back since but the Corporal General 7th Cavalry and Flag Lieutenant of the 9th Dragoons, USA, on whom be peace. Every morning, they go clattering down into the plains. Amen, I listen, tell me more. She set to work and organized the 16 and called it the 1st Battalion Rocky Mountain Rangers, USA, and she wanted to be bugler, but they elected her lieutenant general and bugler. So she ranks her uncle the commandant, who is only a brigadier. And doesn't she train those little people? Ask the Indians, ask the traders, ask the soldiers, they'll tell you. She has been at it from the first day. Every morning they go clattering down into the plain, and there she sits on my back with her bugle at her mouth, and sounds the orders, and puts them through the evolutions for an hour or more. And it is too beautiful for anything to see those ponies dissolve from one formation into another, and waltz about, and break, and scatter, and form again, always moving, always graceful, now trotting, now galloping, and so on, sometimes nearby, sometimes in the distance, all just like a state bowl, you know, and sometimes she can't hold herself any longer, but sounds the charge and turns me loose. And you can take my word for it, if the battalion hasn't too much of a start, we catch up and go over the breastworks with the front line. Yes, they are soldiers, those little people, and healthy too, not ailing anymore, the way they used to be sometimes. It's because of her drill. She's got a fort, now Fort Fanny Marsh. Major General Tommy Drake planned it out, and the 7th and Dragoons built it. Tommy is the colonel's son, and is 15 and the oldest in the battalion. Fanny Marsh is brigadier general, and is next oldest, over 13. She is daughter of Captain Marsh, Company B, 7th Cavalry. Lieutenant General Allison is the youngest by considerable. I think she is about 9½ or 3/4. Her military rig, as Lieutenant General, isn't for business, it's for dress parade, because the ladies made it. They say they got it out of the Middle Ages, out of a book, and it is all red and blue and white silks and satins and velvets, tights, trunks, sword, doublet with slashed sleeves, short cape, cap with just one feather in it. I've heard them name these things, they got them out of the book. She's dressed like a page of old times, they say. It's the daintiest outfit that ever was, you will say so when you see it. She's lovely in it, oh, just a dream. In some ways she is just her age, but in others she's as old as her uncle, I think. She is very learned. She teaches her uncle his book. I have seen her sitting by with the book and reciting to him what is in it so that he can learn to do it himself. Every Saturday she hires little Injuns to garrison her fort. Then she lays siege to it and makes military approaches by make-believe trenches in make-believe night. And finally at make-believe dawn, she draws her sword and sounds the assault and takes it by storm. It is for practice. And she has invented a bugle call all by herself, out of her own head, and it's a stirring one and the prettiest in the service. It's to call me, it's never used for anything else. She taught it to me and told me what it says. It is I soldier come. And when those thrilling notes come floating down the distance, I hear them without fail, even if I am 2 miles away. And then, oh, then you should see my heels get down to business. And she has taught me how to say good morning and good night to her, which is by lifting my right hoof for her to shake, and also how to say goodbye. I do that with my left foot, but only for practice, because there hasn't been any but make-believe goodbying yet, and I hope there won't ever be. It would make me cry if I ever had to put up my left foot in earnest. She has taught me how to salute, and I can do it as well as a soldier. I bow my head low and lay my right hoof against my cheek. She taught me that because I got into disgrace once through ignorance, I am privileged, because I am known to be honorable and trustworthy, and because I have a distinguished record in the service, so they don't hobble me nor tie me to stakes or shut me tight in stables, but let me wander around to suit myself. Well, trooping the colors is a very solemn ceremony, and everybody must stand uncovered when the flag goes by, the commandant and all. And once I was there, and ignorantly walked across right in front of the band, which was an awful disgrace. The lieutenant general was so ashamed and so distressed that I should have done such a thing before all the world, that she couldn't keep the tears back. And then she taught me the salute, so that if I ever did any other unmilitary act through ignorance, I could do my salute, and she believed everybody would think it was apology enough and would not press the matter. It is very nice and distinguished. No other horse can do it. Often the men salute me, and I return it. I am privileged to be present when the Rocky Mountain Rangers troop the colors, and I stand solemn, like the children, and I salute when the flag goes by. Of course, when she goes to her fort, her sentries sing out, "Turn out the guard." And then, do you catch that refreshing early morning whiff from the mountain pines and the wild flowers? The night is far spent. We'll hear the bugles before long. Dorcas, the black woman, is very good and nice. She takes care of the lieutenant general and is Brigadier General Allison's mother, which makes her mother-in-law to the lieutenant general. That is what Shekels says. At least it is what I think he says, though I never can understand him quite clearly. He. Who is Shekels? The 7th Cavalry dog. I mean, if he is a dog. His father was a coyote, and his mother was a wildcat. It doesn't really make a dog out of him, does it? Not a real dog, I should think. Only a kind of a general dog at most, I reckon. Though this is a matter of ichthyology, I suppose, and if it is out of my depth, and so my opinion is not valuable, and I don't claim much consideration for it. It isn't ichthyology, it is dogmatics, which is still more difficult and tangled up. Dogmatics always are. Dogmatics is quite beyond me, so I am not competing, but on general principles, it is my opinion that a colt out of a coyote and a wildcat is no square dog, but doubtful. That is my hand, and I stand pat. Well, it is as far as I can go myself, and be fair and conscientious. I have always regarded him as a doubtful dog, and so has Potter. Potter is the Great Dane. Potter says he is no dog, and not even poultry, though I do not go quite so far as that. And I wouldn't myself. Poultry is one of those things which no person can get to the bottom of. There is so much of it and such variety. It is just wings and wings and wings, till you are weary, turkeys and geese and bats and butterflies and angels and grasshoppers and flying fish, and well, there is really no end to the tribe. It gives me the heaves just to think of it. But this one hasn't any wings, has he? No. Well then, in my belief, he is more likely to be dog than poultry. I have not heard of poultry that hadn't wings. Wings is the sign of poultry. It is what you tell poultry by. Look at the mosquito. What do you reckon he is, then? He must be something. Why, he could be a reptile. Anything that hasn't wings is a reptile. Who told you that? Nobody told me, but I overheard it. Where did you overhear it? Years ago, I was with the Philadelphia Institute expedition in the Badlands under Professor Cope, hunting mastodon bones, and I overheard him say, his own self, that any plantigrade circumflex vertebrate bacterium that hadn't wings and was uncertain was a reptile. Well then, has this dog any wings? No. Is he a plantigrade circumflex vertebrate bacterium? Maybe so, maybe not, but without ever having seen him, and judging only by his illegal and spectacular parentage, I will bet the odds of a bale of hay to a bran mash that he looks it. Finally, is he uncertain? That is the point. Is he uncertain? I will leave it to you if you have ever heard of a more uncertainer dog than what this one is. No, I never have. Well then, he's a reptile, that's settled. Why, look here, what's your name? Last alias, Mongrel. A good one too. I was going to say, you are better educated than you have been pretending to be. I like cultured society, and I shall cultivate your acquaintance. Now as to Shekels, whenever you want to know about any private thing that is going on at this post, or in White Cloud's camp or Thunderbirds, he can tell you, and if you make friends with him, he'll be glad to, for he is a born gossip and picks up all the tittle-tattle. Being the whole 7th Cavalry's reptile, he doesn't belong to anybody in particular and hasn't any military duties, so he comes and goes as he pleases and is popular with all the house cats and other authentic sources of private information. He understands all the languages and talks them all too, with an accent like gritting your teeth, it is true, and with a grammar that is no improvement on blasphemy. Still, with practice you get at the meat of what he says, and it serves. Hark, that's the reveille. Music score for the reveille. Faint and far, but isn't it clear, isn't it sweet? There's no music like the bugle to stir the blood, in the still solemnity of the morning twilight, with the dim plains stretching away to nothing and the spectral mountains slumbering against the sky. You'll hear another note in a minute, faint and far and clear like the other one, and sweeter still you'll notice. Wait, listen, there it goes, it says, "It is I, soldier, come." Soldier boys, bugle call. Now then, watch me leave a blue streak behind. Chapter 7. Soldier Boy and Shekels. Did you do as I told you? Did you look up the Mexican plug? Yes, I made his acquaintance before night and got his friendship. I liked him, did you? Not at first. He took me for a reptile, and it troubled me because I didn't know whether it was a compliment or not. I couldn't ask him because it would look ignorant, so I didn't say anything and soon liked him very well indeed. Was it a compliment, do you think? Yes, that is what it was. They are very rare, the reptiles, very few left nowadays. Is that so? What is a reptile? It is a plantigrade circumflex vertebrate bacterium that hasn't any wings and is uncertain. Well, it sounds fine, it surely does. And it is fine, you may be thankful you are one. I am, it seems wonderfully grand and elegant for a person that is so humble as I am, but I am thankful, I am indeed, and will try to live up to it. It is hard to remember. Will you say it again, please, and say it slow? Plantigrade circumflex vertebrate bacterium that hasn't any wings and is uncertain. It is beautiful, anybody must grant it, beautiful and of a noble sound. I hope it will not make me proud and stuck up. I should not like to be that. It is much more distinguished and honorable to be a reptile than a dog, don't you think, soldier? Why, there's no comparison. It is awfully aristocratic. Often a duke is called a reptile. It is set down so in history. Isn't that grand? Potter wouldn't ever associate with me, but I reckon he'll be glad to when he finds out what I am. You can depend upon it. I will thank Mongrel for this. He is a very good sort for a Mexican plug, don't you think he is? It is my opinion of him, and as for his birth, he cannot help that. We cannot all be reptiles, we cannot all be fossils. We have to take what comes and be thankful it is no worse. It is the true philosophy. For those others, stick to the subject, please. Did it turn out that my suspicions were right? Yes, perfectly right. Mongrel has heard them planning. They are after BB's life, for running them out of Medicine Bow and taking their stolen horses away from them. Well, they'll get him yet, for sure. Not if he keeps a sharp lookout. He keep a sharp lookout. He never does. He despises them and all their kind. His life is always being threatened, and so it has come to be monotonous. Does he know they are here? Oh yes, he knows it. He is always the earliest to know who comes and who goes, but he cares nothing for them and their threats. He only laughs when people warn him. They'll shoot him from behind a tree the first he knows. Did Mongrel tell you their plans? Yes, they have found out that he starts for Fort Clayton day after tomorrow with one of his scouts. So they will leave tomorrow, letting on to go south, but they will fetch around north all in good time. Shekels, I don't like the look of it. Chapter 8. The scouts start, BB and Lieutenant General Allison. BB saluting, good, handsomely done, the 7th couldn't beat it. You do certainly handle your rangers like an expert general, and where are you bound? 4 miles on the trail to Fort Clayton. Glad am I, dear, what's the idea of it? Guard of honor for you and Thorndyke. Bless your heart, I'd rather have it from you than from the Commander-in-Chief of the Armies of the United States, you incomparable little soldier. And I don't need to take any oath to that for you to believe it. I thought you'd like it, baby. Like it? Well, I should say so. Now then, already sound the advance, and away we go. Chapter 9. Soldier Boy and Shekels Again. Well, this is the way it happened. We did the escort duty. Then we came back and struck for the plane and put the Rangers through a rousing drill. Oh, for hours. Then we sent them home under Brigadier General Fanny Marsh. Then the Lieutenant General and I went off on a gallop over the plains for about 3 hours and were lazying along home in the middle of the afternoon when we met Jimmy Slade, the drummer boy, and he saluted and asked the Lieutenant General if she had heard the news, and she said no, and he said, Buffalo Bill has been ambushed and badly shot this side of Clayton, and Thorndyke the scout, too. Bill couldn't travel, but Thorndyke could, and he brought the news. And Sergeant Wilkes and 6 men of Company B are gone 2 hours ago, hotfoot, to get Bill. And they say, Go, she shouts to me, and I went. Vast. Don't ask foolish questions. It was an awful pace. For 4 hours nothing happened, and not a word said, except that now and then she said, Keep it up, boy, keep it up, sweetheart, we'll save him. I kept it up. Well, when the dark shut down in the rugged hills, that poor little chap had been tearing around in the saddle all day, and I noticed by the slack knee pressure that she was tired and tottery, and I got dreadfully afraid. But every time I tried to slow down and let her go to sleep, so I could stop, she hurried me up again, and so, sure enough, at last over she went. There was nothing to do but stand by. Ah, that was a fix to be an eye, for she lay there and didn't stir, and what was I to do? I couldn't leave her to fetch help on account of the wolves. There was nothing to do but stand by. It was dreadful. I was afraid she was killed, poor little thing, but she was. She came to by and by and said, Kiss me, soldier, and those were blessed words. I kissed her often, I am used to that, and we like it. But she didn't get up, and I was worried. She fondled my nose with her hand and talked to me and called me endearing names, which is her way, but she caressed with the same hand all the time. The other arm was broken, you see, but I didn't know it, and she didn't mention it. She didn't want to distress me, you know. Soon the big gray wolves came and hung around, and you could hear them snarl and snap at each other, but you couldn't see anything of them except their eyes, which shone in the dark like sparks and stars. The Lieutenant General said, If I had the Rocky Mountain Rangers here, we would make those creatures climb a tree. Then she made believe that the Rangers were in hearing, and put up her bugle and blew the assembly, and then boots and saddles, then the trot, gallop, charge. Then she blew the retreat and said, That's for you, you rebels, the Rangers don't ever retreat. The music frightened them away, but they were hungry and kept coming back. And of course they got bolder and bolder, which is their way. It went on for an hour, then the tired child went to sleep, and it was pitiful to hear her moan and nestle, and I couldn't do anything for her. All the time I was laying for the wolves. They are in my line, I have had experience. At last the boldest one ventured within my lines, and I landed him among his friends with some of his skull still on him, and they did the rest. In the next hour I got a couple more, and they went the way of the first one, down the throats of the detachment. That satisfied the survivors, and they went away and left us in peace. We hadn't any more adventures, though I kept awake all night and was ready. From midnight on the child got very restless, and out of her head and moaned and said, Water, water, thirsty, and now and then, Kiss me, soldier, and sometimes she was in her fort and giving orders to her garrison, and once she was in Spain and thought her mother was with her. People say a horse can't cry, but they don't know because we cry inside. It was an hour after sunup that I heard the boys coming and recognized the hoofbeats of Pomp and C.S.R. and Jerry, old mates of mine, and a welcomer sound there couldn't ever be. Buffalo Bill was in a horse litter with his leg broken by a bullet, and Mongrel and Blake Haskins's horse were doing the work. Buffalo Bill and Thorndyke had lolled both of those toughs. When they got to us, and Buffalo Bill saw the child lying there so white, he said, My God. The sound of his voice brought her to herself, and she gave a little cry of pleasure and struggled to get up, but couldn't. And the soldiers gathered her up like the tenderest women, and their eyes were wet and they were not ashamed when they saw her arm dangling. And so were Buffalo Bill's, and when they laid her in his arms, he said, "My darling, how does this come?" And she said, "We came to save you, but I was tired and couldn't keep awake and fell off and hurt myself and couldn't get on again." "You came to save me, you dear little rat. It was too lovely of you." "Yes, and soldier stood by me, which you know he would, and protected me from the wolves. And if he got a chance, he kicked the life out of some of them, for you know he would, BB." The sergeant said, "He laid out 3 of them, sir, and here's the bones to show for it." "He's a grand horse," said BB. "He's the grandest horse that ever was, and has saved your life, Lieutenant General Allison, and shall protect it the rest of his life. He's yours for a kiss." He got it along with a passion of delight, and he said, "You are feeling better now, little Spaniard. Do you think you could blow the advance?" She put up the bugle to do it, but he said, "Wait a minute first." Then he and the sergeant set her arm and put it in splints, she wincing but not whimpering. Then we took up the march for home, and that's the end of the tale, and I'm her horse. Isn't she a brick, Shekels? Brick, she's more than a brick, more than 1,000 bricks. She's a reptile. It's a compliment out of your heart, Shekels. God bless you for it. 10. General Allison and Dorcas. Too much company for her, Mars Tom, betwixt you and Shekels, the colonel's wife, and the Cid. The Cid, oh, I remember the Raven. And Mrs. Captain Marsh, and Famine and Pestilence the baby coyotes, and Sour Mash and her pups, and Sardinopolis and her kittens. Hang these names she gives the creatures, they warp my jaw, and Potter, you all sitting around in the house, and Soldier Boy at the window the entire time. It's a wonder to me she comes along as well as she does. She. You want her all to yourself, you stingy old thing. Mars Tom, you know better, it's too much company. And then the idea of her receiving reports all the time from her officers, and acting upon them, and giving orders, the same as if she was well. It ain't good for her, and the surgeon do like it, and tried to persuade her not to and couldn't. And when he ordered her, she was that outraged and indignant, and was very severe on him, and accused him of insubordination, and said it didn't become him to give orders to an officer of her rank. Well, he saw he had excited her more and done more harm than all the rest put together, so he was vexed at himself and wished he had kept still. Doctors don't know much, and that's a fact. She's too much interested in things, she ought to rest more. She's all the time sending messages to BB, and to soldiers and Injuns and whatnot, and to the animals. To the animals. Yes, sir. Who carries them? Sometimes Potter, but mostly it's Shekels. Now come, who can find fault with such pretty make-believe as that? But it ain't make-believe, Mars Tom, she does send them. Yes, I don't doubt that part of it. Do you doubt they get them, sir? Certainly, don't you? No, sir, animals talk to one another. I know it perfectly well, Mars Tom, and I ain't saying it by guess. What a curious superstition. It ain't a superstition, Mars Tom. Look at that Shekels, look at him now. Is he listening or ain't he? Now you see, he's turned his head away. It's because he was caught in the act. I'll ask you, could a Christian look any more ashamed than what he looks now? Lay down, you see, he was going to sneak out. Don't tell me, Mars Tom. If animals don't talk, I miss my guess. And Shekels is the worst. He goes and tells the animals everything that happens in the officers' quarters, and if he's short of facts, he invents them. He hasn't any more principle than a blue jay, and as for morals, he's empty. Look at him now, look at him grovel. He knows what I am saying, and he knows it's the truth. You see yourself that he can feel shame. It's the only virtue he's got. It's wonderful how they find out everything that's going on the animals. They. Do you really believe they do, Dorcas? I don't only just believe it, Mars Tom, I know it. Day before yesterday, they knew something was going to happen. They were that excited and whispering around together. Why, anybody could see that they, but I must get back to her, and I haven't got to my errand yet. What is it, Dorcas? Well, it's 2 or 3 things. One is, the doctor don't salute when he comes. Now, Mars Tom, it ain't anything to laugh at, and so. Well then, forgive me, I didn't mean to laugh, I got caught unprepared. You see, she don't want to hurt the doctor's feelings, so she don't say anything to him about it, but she is always polite herself, and it hurts that kind for people to be rude to them. I'll have that doctor hanged. Marse Tom, she don't want him hanged, she. Well then, I'll have him boiled in oil. But she don't want him boiled, I. Oh, very well, I only want to please her. I'll have him skinned. Why she don't want him skinned, it would break her heart. Now. Woman, this is perfectly unreasonable. What in the nation does she want? Marse Tom, if you would only be a little patient and not fly off the handle at the least little thing. Why, she only wants you to speak to him. Speak to him? Well, upon my word, all this unseemly rage and row about such a Dorcas, I never saw you carry on like this before. You have alarmed the sentry. He thinks I am being assassinated. He thinks there's a mutiny, a revolt, an insurrection, he. Marse Tom, you are just putting on, you know it perfectly well. I don't know what makes you act like that, but you always did, even when you was little, and you can't get over it, I reckon. Are you over it now, Marse Tom? Oh well, yes, but it would try anybody to be doing the best he could, offering every kindness he could think of, only to have it rejected with contumely and, oh, well, let it go, it's no matter, I'll talk to the doctor. Is that satisfactory, or are you going to break out again? Yes, sir, it is, and it's only right to talk to him too, because it's just as she says. She's trying to keep up discipline in the Rangers, and this insubordination of his is a bad example for them. Now ain't it so, Marse Tom? Well, there is reason in it, I can't deny it, so I will speak to him, though at bottom I think hanging would be more lasting. What is the rest of your errand, Dorcas? Of course her room is Ranger headquarters now, Marse Tom, while she's sick. Well, soldiers of the cavalry and the dragoons that are off duty come and get her sentries to let them relieve them and serve in their place. It's only out of affection, sir, and because they know military honors please her, and please the children too, for her sake, and they don't bring their muskets, and so. I've noticed them there, but didn't twig the idea. They are standing guard, are they? Yes, sir, and she is afraid you will reprove them and hurt their feelings, if you see them there. So she begs, if you don't mind coming in the back way. Bear me up, Dorcas, don't let me faint. There, sit up and behave, Marse Tom. You are not going to faint. You are only pretending. You used to act just so when you was little. It does seem a long time for you to get grown up. Dorcas, the way the child is progressing, I shall be out of my job before long. She'll have the whole post in her hands. I must make a stand. I must not go down without a struggle. These encroachments, Dorcas, what do you think she will think of next? Marse Tom, she don't mean any harm. Are you sure of it? Yes, Marse Tom. You feel sure she has no ulterior designs? I don't know what that is, Marse Tom, but I know she hasn't. Very well then, for the present I am satisfied. What else have you come about? I reckon I better tell you the whole thing first, Marse Tom, then tell you what she wants. There's been an emeute, as she calls it. It was before she got back with BB. The officer of the day reported it to her this morning. It happened at her fort. There was a fuss betwixt Major General Tommy Drake and Lieutenant Colonel Agnes Frisbee, and he snatched her doll away, which is made of white kids stuffed with sawdust, and tore every rag of its clothes off, right before them all, and is under arrest, and the charge is conduct un. Yes, I know, conduct unbecoming an officer and a gentleman, a plain case, too, it seems to me. This is a serious matter. Well, what is her pleasure? Well, Marse Tom, she has summoned a court-martial, but the doctor don't think she is well enough to preside over it, and she says there ain't anybody competent but her, because there's a major general concerned. And so she says, would you preside over it for her? Marse Tom, sit up. You ain't any more going to faint than Shekels is. Look here, Dorcas, go along back and be tactful. Be persuasive, don't fret her, tell her it's all right. The matter is in my hands, but it isn't good form to hurry so grave a matter as this. Explain to her that we have to go by precedents, and that I believe this one to be new. In fact, you can say I know that nothing just like it has happened in our army, therefore I must be guided by European precedents and must go cautiously and examine them carefully. Tell her not to be impatient. It will take me several days, but it will all come out right, and I will come over and report progress as I go along. Do you get the idea, Dorcas? I don't know as I do, sir. Well, it's this. You see, it won't ever do for me, a brigadier in the regular army, to preside over that infant court-martial. There isn't any precedent for it, don't you see? Very well. I will go on examining authorities and reporting progress until she is well enough to get me out of this scrape by presiding herself. Do you get it now? Oh yes, sir, I get it, and it's good. I'll go and fix it with her. Lay down and stay where you are. Why, what harm is he doing? Oh, it ain't any harm, but it just vexes me to see him act so. What was he doing? Can't you see, and him in such a sweat? He was starting out to spread it all over the post. Now I reckon you won't deny any more that they go and tell everything they hear, now that you've seen it with yo own eyes. Well, I don't like to acknowledge it, Dorcas, but I don't see how I can consistently stick to my doubts in the face of such overwhelming proof as this dog is furnishing. There now, you've got in yo right mind at last. I wonder you can be so stubborn, Marse Tom, but you always was, even when you was little. I'm going now. Look here, tell her that in view of the delay, it is my judgment that she ought to enlarge the accused on his parole. Yes, sir, I'll tell her, Marse Tom. Well, she can't get to Soldier Boy, and he stands there all the time, down in the mouth and lonesome. And she says, will you shake hands with him and comfort him? Everybody does. It's a curious kind of lonesomeness, but all right, I will. Chapter 11. Several months later, Antonio and Thorndyke. Thorndyke, isn't that plug you're riding an asset of the scrap you and Buffalo Bill had with the late Blake Haskins and his pal a few months back? Yes, this is Mongrel, and not a half-bad horse either. I've noticed he keeps up his lick first rate. Say, isn't it a gaudy morning? Right you are. Thorndyke, it's Andalusian, and when that's said, all's said. Andalusian and Oregonian, Antonio, put it that way, and you have my vote. Being a native up there, I know, you being Andalusian-born. Can speak with authority for that patch of paradise. Well, I can, like the Don, like Sancho. This is the correct Andalusian Don now, crisp, fresh, dewy, fragrant, pungent. What though the spicy breezes blow soft o'er Ceylon's isle? Get up, you old cow, stumbling like that when we've just been praising you, out on a scout, and can't live up to the honor any better than that. Antonio, how long have you been out here in the plains and the Rockies? More than 13 years. It's a long time. Don't you ever get homesick? Not till now. Why now, after such a long cure? These preparations of the retiring commandants have started it up. Of course, it's natural. It keeps me thinking about Spain. I know the region where the seventh child's aunt lives. I know all the lovely country for miles around. I'll bet I've seen her aunt's villa many a time. I'll bet I've been in it in those pleasant old times when I was a Spanish gentleman. They say the child is wild to see Spain. It's so, I know it from what I hear. Haven't you talked with her about it? No, I've avoided it. I should soon be as wild as she is. That would not be comfortable. I wish I was going, Antonio. There's two things I'd give a lot to see. One's a railroad. She'll see one when she strikes Missouri. The other's a bullfight. I've seen lots of them. I wish I could see another. I don't know anything about it, except in a mixed-up, foggy way, Antonio, but I know enough to know it's grand sport. The grandest in the world. There's no other sport that begins with it. I'll tell you what I've seen, then you can judge. It was my first, and it's as vivid to me now as it was when I saw it. It was a Sunday afternoon, and beautiful weather, and my uncle, the priest, took me as a reward for being a good boy and because of my own accord, and without anybody asking me, I had bankrupted my savings box and given the money to a mission that was civilizing the Chinese and sweetening their lives and softening their hearts with the gentle teachings of our religion. And I wish you could have seen what we saw that day, Thorndike. The amphitheater was packed. From the bull ring to the highest row, 12,000 people in one circling mass, one slanting, solid mass, royalties, nobles, clergy, ladies, gentlemen, state officials, generals, admirals, soldiers, sailors, lawyers, thieves, merchants, brokers, cooks, housemaids, scullery maids, doubtful women, dudes, gamblers, beggars, loafers, tramps, American ladies, gentlemen, preachers, English ladies, gentlemen, preachers, German ditto, French ditto, and so on, all the world represented. Spaniards to admire and praise, foreigners to enjoy and go home and find fault. There they were, one solid, sloping, circling sweep of rippling and flashing color under the downpour of the summer sun. Just a garden, a gaudy, gorgeous flower garden. Children munching oranges, 6,000 fans fluttering and glimmering, everybody happy, everybody chatting gaily with their intimates. Lovely girl faces smiling recognition and salutation to other lovely girl faces. Grey old ladies and gentlemen dealing in the like exchanges with each other. Ah, such a picture of cheery contentment and glad anticipation. Not a mean spirit, nor a sordid soul, nor a sad heart there. Ah, Thorndike, I wish I could see it again. Suddenly, the martial note of a bugle cleaves the hum and murmur, clear the ring. They clear it, the great gate is flung open, and the procession marches in, splendidly costumed and glittering, the marshals of the day, then the picadors on horseback, then the matadors on foot, each surrounded by his quadrille of chulos. They march to the box of the city fathers and formally salute. The key is thrown, the bull gate is unlocked. Another bugle blast. The gate flies open, the bull plunges in, furious, trembling, blinking in the blinding light, and stands there, a magnificent creature, center of those multitudinous and admiring eyes, brave, ready for battle, his attitude a challenge. He sees his enemy, horsemen sitting motionless with long spears in rest, upon blindfolded, broken-down nags, lean and starved, fit only for sport and sacrifice, then the carrion heap. The bull makes a rush, with murder in his eye, but a picador meets him with a spear thrust in the shoulder. He flinches with the pain, and the picador skips out of danger. A burst of applause for the picador, hisses for the bull. Some shout "cow" at the bull and call him offensive names. But he is not listening to them. He is there for business. He is not minding the cloak-bearers that come fluttering around to confuse him. He chases this way, he chases that way, and hither and yon, scattering the nimble banderillos in every direction like a spray, and receiving their maddening darts in his neck as they dodge and fly. Oh, but it's a lively spectacle, and brings down the house. Ah, you should hear the thundering roar that goes up when the game is at its wildest and brilliant things are done. Oh, that first bull that day was great. From the moment the spirit of war rose to flood tide in him and he got down to his work, he began to do wonders. He tore his way through his persecutors, flinging one of them clear over the parapet. He bowled a horse and his rider down, and plunged straight for the next, got home with his horns, wounding both horse and man, on again here and there and this way and that. And one after another he tore the bowels out of 2 horses so that they gushed to the ground, and ripped a third one so badly that although they rushed him to cover and shoved his bowels back and stuffed the rents with tow and rode him against the bull again, he couldn't make the trip. He tried to gallop under the spur, but soon reeled and tottered and fell, all in a heap. For a while that bull ring was the most thrilling and glorious and inspiring sight that ever was seen. The bull absolutely cleared it and stood there alone, monarch of the place. The people went mad for pride in him, and joy and delight, and you couldn't hear yourself think, for the roar and boom and crash of applause. Antonio, it carries me clear out of myself just to hear you tell it. It must have been perfectly splendid. If I live, I'll see a bullfight yet before I die. Did they kill him? Oh yes, that is what the bull is for. They tired him out and got him at last. He kept rushing the matador, who always slipped smartly and gracefully aside in time, waiting for sure chance, and at last it came. The bull made a deadly plunge for him, was avoided neatly, and as he sped by, the long sword glided silently into him, between left shoulder and spine, in and in to the hilt. He crumpled down, dying. Ah, Antonio, it is the noblest sport that ever was. I would give a year of my life to see it. Is the bull always killed? Yes, sometimes a bull is timid, finding himself in so strange a place, and he stands trembling or tries to retreat. Then everybody despises him for his cowardice and wants him punished and made ridiculous, so they hoe him from behind, and it is the funniest thing in the world to see him hobbling around on his severed legs. The whole vast house goes into hurricanes of laughter over it. I have laughed till the tears ran down my cheeks to see it. When he has furnished all the sport he can, he is not any longer useful and is killed. Well, it is perfectly grand, Antonio, perfectly beautiful. Burning a nigger don't begin. Chapter 12. Mongrel and the Other Horse. Sagebrush, you have been listening. Yes. Isn't it strange? Well, no, Mongrel, I don't know that it is. Why don't you? I've seen a good many human beings in my time. They are created as they are. They cannot help it. They are only brutal because that is their make. Brutes would be brutal if it was their make. To me, Sagebrush, man is most strange and unaccountable. Why should he treat dumb animals that way when they are not doing any harm? Man is not always like that, Mongrel. He is kind enough when he is not excited by religion. Is the bullfight a religious service? I think so, I have heard so. It is held on Sunday. A reflective pause, lasting some moments. Then, when we die, Sagebrush, do we go to heaven and dwell with man? My father thought not. He believed we do not have to go there unless we deserve it. Part 2. In Spain. Chapter 13. General Allison to his mother. It was a prodigious trip, but delightful, of course, through the Rockies and the Black Hills and the mighty sweep of the Great Plains to civilization and the Missouri border, where the railroading began and the delightfulness ended. But no one is the worse for the journey, certainly not Kathy, nor Dorcas, nor Soldier Boy, and as for me, I am not complaining. Spain is all that Kathy had pictured it, and more, she says. She is in a fury of delight, the maddest little animal that ever was, and all for joy. She thinks she remembers Spain, but that is not very likely, I suppose. The two, Mercedes and Kathy, devour each other. It is a rapture of love and beautiful to see. It is Spanish, that describes it. Will this be a short visit? No, it will be permanent. Kathy has elected to abide with Spain and her aunt. Dorcas says Dorcas foresaw that this would happen, and also says that she wanted it to happen, and says the child's own country is the right place for her, and that she ought not to have been sent to me. I ought to have gone to her. I thought it insane to take Soldier Boy to Spain, but it was well that I yielded to Kathy's pleadings. If he had been left behind, half of her heart would have remained with him, and she would not have been contented. As it is, everything has fallen out for the best, and we are all satisfied and comfortable. It may be that Dorcas and I will see America again someday, but also it is a case of maybe not. We left the post in the early morning. It was an affecting time. The women cried over Kathy, so did even those stern warriors, the Rocky Mountain Rangers. Shekels was there, and the Cid, and Sardanapalus, and Potter, and Mongrel, and Sourmash, Famine, and Pestilence, and Kathy kissed them all and wept. Details of the several arms of the garrison were present to represent the rest, and say goodbye and God bless you for all the soldiery. And there was a special squad from the 7th, with the oldest veteran at its head, to speed the 7th's child with grand honors and impressive ceremonies, and the veteran had a touching speech by heart, and put up his hand in salute and tried to say it, but his lips trembled and his voice broke. But Kathy bent down from the saddle and kissed him on the mouth and turned his defeat to victory, and a cheer went up. The next act closed the ceremonies and was a moving surprise. It may be that you have discovered before this that the rigors of military law and custom melt insensibly away and disappear when a soldier or a regiment or the garrison wants to do something that will please Kathy. The bands conceived the idea of stirring her soldierly heart with a farewell which would remain in her memory always, beautiful and unfading, and bring back the past and its love for her whenever she should think of it. So they got their project placed before General Burnaby, my successor, who is Kathy's newest slave, and in spite of poverty of precedence, they got his permission. The bands knew the child's favorite military airs. By this hint you know what is coming, but Kathy didn't. she was asked to sound the reveille, which she did. Reveille. With the last note, the bands burst out with a crash and woke the mountains with the star-spangled banner in a way to make a body's heart swell and thump and his hair rise. It was enough to break a person all up, to see Kathy's radiant face shining out through her gladness and tears. By request, she blew the assembly now. The assembly.